Before leaving, please remember to make a contribution to all of my thousands of hours of work here. PayPal, Patreon, or fundraiser in the description below or on the China Rising Radio Sinoland article page. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland, and I am really happy to have on the show today a good friend from Chiang Mai, Thailand, Richard Miller. How are you doing today, Richard?
Hey, this is something I've been looking forward to. We were talking about this a couple of months ago. So now it's happening.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm excited too.
So anyhow, I keep my life kind of full, and I get into certain things. I find a lot of interest in, and what I want to do is I would like to start by saying, trying to find something interesting for all our viewers. What can I say that would be interesting? And so then what are they looking for? I would have to assume it because nobody told me, but so anyhow, I mean, people want to, of course, people want to be entertained. People want to have information. People want to have a story. People want to learn something new. And of course, we're going to be talking about philosophy. Philosophy is something old. So what I'm thinking is that not only getting more information, but what are you going to do with that information? In other words, you're going to handle it like you did yesterday, most likely, because we're not going to be talking about what's new and different. It might be new to you, but your mode of thinking about it is going to be your mode of thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And I would like to say that what people really would yearn for, if they thought it was possible, is they would like to expand who they are, like their being, and expand what the possibilities are for their doing. In other words, have more options. And that's where I want to tie our today's discussion into. How can you get more options? How can you drop some barriers that are holding you back, and we don't know really what they are. And so then what can we do? We have no idea how we can really manipulate information and learning in a new way that's going to give us a new outcome. I think a lot of people want to change things in their life, and we're trying. We're trying to change things in the world. We're trying to change things in our family, in our community. And how does it work? It kind of works like it did yesterday, right? Because here we are again today, and it looks a little bit similar. So I think that, what do you think? Is that going to be an interesting topic?
Yeah, you sent me a book that I read. Tell us. So you actually went to the trouble to print it yourself in Chiang Mai and wrote a preface, or maybe it was an epilogue for this book, and I read it and I really enjoyed it. And that was the genesis of this discussion today. So tell us about it. I mean, you went to the trouble to mail it to me by international mail, and I think several other people around the world, and also friends in Chiang Mai who read English. So tell us about it.
Okay, well, I found this book not so long ago. It was December, and when I read it right away, I saw that this could be a doorway into a new way of thinking about myself. And so then it's a philosophy book called Stoicism. And this happens to be one of the seemingly later authors, which was Marcus Aurelius. And so anyhow, I decided I wanted to read it again and again. And the easy way to do that is I decided to put it into a book template and edit it. And so then I was trying to smooth out the language, because the translations are very old, the English ones anyhow. And so then the old language, they used to have a more formal language. And so then maybe that's rejected now. If you say thou art this and that, it sounds like you're reading this King James Bible, and people are saying, well, I don't need another Bible. And so then in editing it, I also printed copies so I could edit from a hard copy. And so then, of course, I did that, and then I had copies, so I started giving them out. And I thought, whoa, if this could be, this is a real gift to me, I wonder if it could be a real gift to other people. And so I started checking it out, and that's how, and I sent a hard copy because I thought, okay, if I send a PDF, you read it once, maybe half a time, you lose it, it'll be in all your files, who knows, maybe you'll read it twice. But if I send a hard copy, you'll have, it'll be on your bookshelf. And maybe next year or 2 years, oh, what's that book? Take a look at that again,
It's
and
on
I
my
think
bookshelf.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's timeless because, well, it is already proven timeless, it's almost 2,000 years old.
Yeah.
And so then to go back a little bit to what I was trying to say a little while ago, why aren't we any different? I mean, we're kind of the same. We're very consistent for a big part of our life. And so then let's have a hypothesis that there must be a barrier to looking at things in a different way. And a lot of people talk about that. They say that these are your pre-programs, and they're made up of unexamined ideas, unexamined beliefs. They're made up of your preferences. And,
maybe a good word would be memes. Memes that we just learn and learn, learn and learn until we don't even realize we know them, and act them out.
Well, it comes from a long time ago, of course, because we grew up as a child, and those at that time we were trying to emulate or imitate the adults, and so you could call that something like cultural embeddedness, something that we just pick up the culture through our pores. And so then we have a lot of taken for granted assumptions. And if we want to change something, and we're always working from the same taken for granted assumptions, we see it in the same old way. We don't see it as new or as new as it could be. And so then how can you, I mean, I don't think you can teach these kind of things. You have to discover it for yourself. If I try to teach and say, take my assumptions, they're better. It's not going to be right at all. You're not going to do it, and it's not. Then you're not going to own it. So then we're in the same way with religions and philosophies and many types of methods of improving or taking a new look, a fresh look. So this is the thing I found in Marcus Aurelius, that he aimed right for this possibility. He doesn't tell everything, but he tells quite a lot about looking at yourself and seeing how things could be different. Okay, one thing we might want to say is that all these ideas and beliefs and assumptions and preconceptions and preferences. They're all ideas that seem very personal. So if I start to question them, you're going to say, "Well, wait a minute, don't question all my ideas because it took me a long time to figure them out." And it'll maybe sound like an attack, right? So you have to be very gentle about bringing up these kinds of subjects, and see where people can decide to look for themselves. And one way that I found that, for me at least, the best way to look at something new is to say, well, it's an experiment. It's not something I have to believe or take on or wholeheartedly accept. I can just say, well, try it out and then see what the results are. And maybe I need a few hints of what where to look for the results. How are things becoming different? And so from the beginning, okay, we're children and we're growing up, and like the first chapter of Marcus Aurelius, he's got about 20 people that were his mentors, and he says, from this guy, from my father I learned this, from my grandfather I learned that, and he goes through his teachers and from other philosophers. And so what did he learn? He learned about relationships. He learned about what works for more people, and not just for me. And so then it sounds like morality, which I guess it is, because these are behaviors that smooth out life. And so you could take a look at it and say, well, what about me? When I was young, who were my mentors and what did they tell me? I can't even really tell you if I had any or not. And did I have some good teachers, or was I always the person in the kid in school that was on the bottom rung? And they would chastise me, saying, "Oh, you can do better. You can do better." But it didn't feel like a mentorship. And I don't know if you're lucky and you had some good teachers or worked with some good people, or.
I think in the context of 1950s, the McCarthy, the McCarthy hysteria, the anti-communism, the East versus West, Soviet versus the West. I think I had some good. I still remember their names, and I think I can't expect them to be completely enlightened, but I think that within the context of that time growing up in the United States, I had really good teachers, and I think that my parents were good teachers, and not Marcus Aurelius or Plato or Socrates or Confucius or Lao Tzu, but I think they did the best that they could, and I think that they mostly had a really good impact on me and helped make me who I was. Unfortunately, I later realized that a lot of what they taught me, I was brainwashed by propaganda, anti-communist propaganda, pro-Western propaganda, a sense of cultural racism, but I think of superiority to everybody else in the world. But I think that their hearts were in the right place, and I've learned honesty and hard work and a sense of justice and to try to be successful, etc. So I can't complain. That's all I have to say
Well,
about
I don't want
my
to complain
teachers.
about my parents either. You know, they were very loving and they did the best they could, and they were not caught up in McCarthyism or world conflict. And of course, they thought we won the war, and that was good. And they thought, you know, the normal stuff that now the world can change. And but anyhow, I'm saying that even reading this now as a very mature guy, you know, I could read that chapter and say, well, gee, these guys could be my mentors right now.
Yeah.
I can listen to what they're saying, and I can take it up seriously and not necessarily obey, but check it out for myself. In other words, maybe I should say this. Let's say there's thoughts, and there's emotions, and there's doing. And a lot of our philosophies and religions, they settle in on doing. In other words, there's 10 commandments, and do these commandments.
Mm-hmm. Or don't do certain things. Thou shalt not kill, and etc.
Yeah, right. Well, thou shalt preserve life.
Yeah, there you go.
But even, you know, I think all religions have a code of conduct. And I guess Buddhism might have a path of 8 noble pathways. But and then they say, okay, do these things, and it takes discipline. Okay, so that means it's not so easy. It's hard.
Not only discipline, but practice.
Yeah. Well, it takes discipline to keep practicing, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you say, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
I read that Marcus Aurelius made it a point to review his meditations apparently almost every day of his life. So that's a discipline, and that's, you know, practice. You know, if he just went into battle with the Germans, or he just went into battle with the, you know, against turncoats in Syria, but he goes back to his tent, and he still does his meditations after a long day of battle, or, you know, or turncoats back in Rome. So that's pretty amazing to have that kind of
right. But you know, like, he was always a studious guy. I think from childhood he was always writing and reading and trying to write better, and being satisfied with his own writing, and so then just contemplating, and probably he was writing when he was contemplating, because he would be updating and trying to make them more smooth or more. Okay, so then some people are telling you that you need to do the right thing, and then it's not easy, you need discipline. Okay, maybe Jesus is telling you that you should work with your emotions, because you should love your enemy, turn the other cheek. And so he's trying to change the human being by working on the emotions. Other ways too, but that's one way to look at it. And now come to Marcus Aurelius. I think he's trying to get you to change, or himself, by considering his ideas. So thoughts are his pathway. The pathway of thoughts, the pathway of emotions, and the pathway of doing. And I don't think we can say one is the cause of the other. We don't know. We can hypothesize and say, well, maybe it's this way, maybe it's that way. But in a way, they all arise together. And if you change any one of them, you change your doing, or you change your, I don't know how you actually just change your emotions, and change your thoughts. The other two change also. And what I've come to is that looking into yourself can be a practice of languaging. In other words, see what you're saying about the situation, and And what's the end result of saying that? And then what's the emotional charge that comes from that? And
as they say, words are very powerful things.
Yeah. But I mean, so then you could say, well, you can't prove that. Well, I don't really need to, because I can demonstrate it. So then you can find something that irritates you, just as your own demonstration, your experiment, and then try to see, well, what's your explanation of it? And then say, well, maybe I could soften that explanation a little bit. And I think just invariably, you'll see that the emotional charge is reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether it can go to zero or, that's not the point. The point is to find the linkage, and the linkage that you can work with. It's like a handle on your personality and a handle on your constraints. You have, we all have functional constraints, like a knee-jerk reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And we're constrained by that. We're going to fire off, and when certain things happen. Okay, we have perceptual constraints because we see things in a certain way, and we see things like we've explained them. In other words, I think you'll find, from your own version of the human instrument, that you've got an explanation for everything. And so then these explanations, what's the purpose?
It's interesting that Marcus Aurelius, in his own way, said the same thing, very similar to Jesus, to turn the other cheek. He phrased it as, evil people are going to do evil no matter what, but only you have the power to not respond to that evil by committing evil yourself, which is kind of the same thing. You don't react to bad behavior by you sort of take it in, absorb it, and absorb the body punches or the mental punches, and don't react with an eye for an eye. Is that the way you understood it too? That's what I saw when reading the book.
Okay, like
that you sent me.
When you're looking at your feelings, and then you make up some rules by using those feelings. Okay, the feeling is that if somebody injures somebody else, more or less he should be subject to the same injury. I would call it reflective justice. When you say eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, we think that, well, somebody that causes pain, he needs to learn a lesson. He needs to learn what that pain feels like. And so then we have this idea that nowadays they call it tit for tat, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going with sanctions. And you got to do something. I mean, I'm not saying that you should just be a nerd, but I think if we use our rational ability and our logic, we can see that reflective justice is like a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And is it going to get us what we want to get, where we want to go? And I'm not saying I have the answer. But I'm saying that all of us need to look for an answer, maybe a personal answer first, and then how it'll work in our family or how we can expand it. And so reflective
justice is very Old Testament. It's the Torah, that goes back to the angry, vindictive God, jealous God in the Old Testament and the Torah. So Jesus was New Testament. So it's almost like two different, but well, they are two completely different books. But I like the spin. I like the spin that Marcus Aurelius had on this concept. That and he a number of times in his what were there 16 meditations, I think, anyway. he talked about this, and I think it makes a lot of sense. You know, there's just as you said, there's no end to it. You know, the Hatfield and the McCoys. You know, one shoots at the Hatfields.
I read something really interesting once, you know, 'cause all throughout my growing up years, and I used to think an eye for an eye, that's terrible, you know, that's not going to get you anywhere. And then I read something that was really amazing. It said that an eye for an eye was God's grace or God being kind, because usually the Israelis, if somebody took their eye, they would wipe out the whole village.
Yeah,
And so
exactly. Well, that's
eye for an eye was balance. It was finally coming to balance, right? I thought, oh my God.
Well, the Torah, the Jewish Torah is a handbook for genocide and extermination. I mean, they justify, you know, all of that and more. So, yeah, there you go. We're lucky. You're lucky. We're only going to take your eye this time.
Yeah, this time you only lose your eye, right? Because God protects you. Okay, well, okay. Another thing to think about is like you know, the way we are as humans. We don't really see things in their own nature very well. Like, I don't really know who I am or what I am unless I'm in a relationship and I can compare.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, a human can compare very well and see the nuances and the differences. But just to say, well, how am I? Well, I don't know how I am. I am the way I am. You know, it's like a fish in the water. You know, I don't really. I'm not that conscious of how I am, because until I butt up against something, and that's relationship. And so you don't necessarily have to butt up against somebody in a fight. You could just read these aphorisms, and they kind of give you, okay, this is what Marcus Aurelius said. How's that go with the way I am? I can really see that I don't do that. I couldn't never do that. I wouldn't be up to that level or whatever. Or you might say, oh my God, back then you could do things, but now hey, it's not practical. Or you could say, well,
I don't agree, Richard. I think much of what he had to say. I mean, I think anybody could take, you know, 15 or 20 of his aphorisms, as you call them, and, you know, which is also very similar to to Confucius and Lao Tzu and the Tao. You know, these short maxims to to guide you. I think I think anybody could take 15 or 20 of Marcus Aurelius's, whether they're Christian or Buddhist or Taoist or Marxist or Maoist or whatever, and put those on a wall or put them by their bedside and get something very positive out of it in 2021. I think it, like many other philosophies that have shown durability, I think it's timeless.
Well, I tend to agree. But I don't agree with everything. You know, it's not like I say that you need to use all this diligence and dedication to emulate everything he says. And I don't really say that that we live with the fates. In other words, that
that was one aspect that was over and over again. Is he's very imbued with, and it's just he was a man of his time. Also, the gods, the Greco-Roman what we call mythology today was one of the great world religions for over 1,000 years. So so yeah, you have the fates. The fatalism, and that's true for Confucius also. So you can pick and choose what really respond that you respond to, and you don't have to take it blanket cover to cover. I agree.
Well, the way I see it, of course, I'm just making up my own rules about it, and so he might have had his own reasons, and all the other Stoic philosophers might have their own methodology and reasons. But the way I see it is that he could see the value in peace of mind. In other words, if you weren't always, what is peace of mind? It has to do with the emotional charge, because peace of mind doesn't just mean no thoughts. It just means no thoughts attached to emotions. At least that's how I'm going to interpret it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, no, I think that's one way of looking at it. I mean, that's what Stoicism is supposed to be all about. Reason and self-restraint, and using your mind instead of your emotions, and so.
Well, I mean, I think if we look at it, we could say that the rationality or the rational mind is more powerful than the emotions. It looks like the emotions are powerful because you're all tense and you're jumping around and maybe hurting somebody or hurting yourself, but you're off balance, and so that you can't really see what the options are, or you can't see the best options, or you're just choosing your old repertoire. And so then this peace of mind, he realized that when things come in your mind that you want to fight, then that causes turbulence. And so then he stresses like two routes into your mind where you're going to have turbulence. And one is from nature, or from, there was a storm, or there was a sickness, or there was, things that you can't. So that's what he calls the gods, for me, In other words, he's saying, well, the gods do this, and the gods don't make any mistakes, so nature, whatever is natural, he calls it natural too. Then you should not blame the gods, or not blame nature, not create a fight in your mind, but you should accept it. And you should honor the gods. The gods being nature, or just these things that happen to you. And the other route in is by other men, mankind, maybe animals, but it's your relationships. And so then when somebody does something that you weren't expecting, that you didn't want, then your mind is gonna object. And then that is, you lose your peace of mind, you lose your mindset. And so I think the power of stability, mental stability, is that you're better able to function, no matter what the outside situations are. And so then you're more efficient, and you're going to find better solutions. And so then that's what it's all about, all this accepting, right? Accept the gods. And, to me, it's not all about I should worship gods, or it just says that I realize there's these two routes that come into my mind, and I'm going to change my opinions or change my judgment points so that they don't cause me turmoil, or I'm going to lessen the turmoil. And I'm not looking for a white slate, but still I have my thoughts, and still I can see what's needed now, and what's needed, wise actions. Wise wisdom is very simple. It's just what works for the most people, and what makes life smooth. And
it reminds me of that great song by Randy Newman, "Roll with the Punches." I don't know if you know Randy Newman, but things happen. Just roll with the punches. That's the nature part. Just roll with the punches.
I can go with that, but I'm not rolling with the punches so I get another one. I'm rolling with the punches so that I can see where the next one's coming from and do something about it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then, a very important thing about what he says over and over again is that you are empowered to change your opinions.
Mm-hmm.
You can change your
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah.
And what's stopping you? What's stopping you probably is that you're not so sure where the access points are. How do I get to it? You could see the opinions firing off, but where do I get to where the trigger was?
Mm-hmm.
And so then he might not even really tell you that. That might be something you'd have to discover yourself. But so then if we want to, going back to how I started, that we have barriers to being and acting in most, I'm not even going to say how you want to do it, because how you want to do it is another barrier. You want only what you know that you should want. And that's another constraint. And so I'm going to just say that it's a discovery process. You just have, with a quiet mind, you can get closer and closer and start looking and say, well, why did I do this? Why did I do that? And then on the other side of the coin, what you really want to do is change people around you, change the circumstance, change people in the family, and change the government. And of course, we all want to do it. We want to have a society that is going to be good, stable, and good for the most people, where they're not going to object. People that don't have what they need are going to, of course, object. And then it's going to impinge upon what I want to do. So then, but he says, just know that these are the things that you have no facility in. You really can't change other people. So then, if you're looking to work on barriers to what's important for expanding your life, the best ones to look at first are the ones that are internal to you. And work on those first, and then maybe some light will come about what can be done in the collective.
Marx had Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin had and Mao also, Mao Zedong had a very similar way of looking at it: internal contradictions and external contradictions, which is really pretty much very, very similar. Your internal contradictions, etc. And then are within an organization, and then external contradictions, for the bigger picture with outsiders. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading the book. I enjoyed your. I think it was you put it was an epilogue. It was not a prologue.
It was both, actually. I wrote
Okay,
one in the beginning and one in the end.
Okay,
I didn't want to make the one in the beginning too long,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
thought, like, if I tell everything that I think about this book, you'll be reacting to what I say instead of
Yeah.
reacting to the book. And
then you
but that's
put in
good
a
about you said Lenin and Mao,
Marx.
internal. So it gives you a priority. So you
Yeah.
you got to figure out the internal contradictions first,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
most of our energy there, and then okay. The last thing, I don't know if it's the last, but another thing important for me is that he is showing you the link between mental turmoil and feeling bad and the outside circumstance. And he says, now this is up to you to prove, to demonstrate, but he says there is no link. Oh my God, what are you talking about? There's no link between the outside circumstance and my state of mind? No, it goes through your descriptions. It goes through your explanations. It goes through your judgment points. It goes through your opinions. And when your opinions are, no, it shouldn't be this way, or, I wasn't expecting this, and it's the last thing on earth I want, and then you're fired up. That's the trigger. The trigger is your opinion. So then that's what is a promise. That's a promise that you could have a power to have equanimity or certain stages of equanimity. And so I find this is the most empowering part. So then how do you do it? That he doesn't really tell you. He tells you that you can do it, though. And I believe it because I think I can, I'm sure I can demonstrate it for myself. I can't demonstrate it for you. And I don't want to tell people to do things my way, because that's just same old, more, you know, somebody declares themselves to be an expert, and they're so kind that they're going to give that expertise to you. And you may take it for a while and may not, but so that is, okay, there's about 400 aphorisms in there, and it's not so long. I made big print in my book.
Yeah. I read it over just you know, several 2 or 3 pages each night over the course of about a month. So before bed, I just put it by my bedside. Would you object if now you did later send me the PDF, and I know you're not going to be mailing this all over the world to all the friends, fans, and followers of China Rising Radio Sinaland. But would you mind if I use your PDF copy to put on the page here so that people can read your updated version with the modern English?
No, absolutely. But you know, another way you could do it is to put a link up for my the last YouTube video I did, which is, maybe I spoke a lot slower than I am now. Maybe you won't want to go all the way.
I'll add that too. But I think
but in the
anybody
description
that could
of the
download the book, you know, it'd be really nice. You know, that way that people could read what you know, like you said. I think the original, the last, you worked off of a translation from like 1860 something, and you make it more up to date, and you found some, you know, grammatical errors and line editing and.
Well, you know, just at YouTube, in the description, there is the link. I uploaded it somewhere. I uploaded it to archive.org.
Okay,
and,
well, and I will, but I'll actually make it a downloadable copy, you know, right on China Rising Radio Sinaland, where I put this video and SoundCloud.
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Well,
so
listen,
this is a lead-in, This is a lead-in, sort of like to do some work about examining how we do things and why we seem to go into circles, and it could be everything, you know, about how we see the world. Why is the world going in circles or getting worse and worse and worse, downward spiral, right?
Yeah.
And so then I think I'm going to write some essays and talk about this more, not necessarily about Stoicism. I'm not really looking to investigate more about Stoicism. I did read Epictetus' Golden Sayings, and they're great, you know. But I mean, what I need to do is to investigate my mind. Why am I thinking the way I'm thinking, and why does that produce me doing the way I'm doing, and what's the update? There must be an update, and without any necessarily urgency. I mean, not anxious about it, but I think it's a subject that we all need to go deeper into if we want to resolve anything. We're doing all this work, research, telling stories, doing revisionism, telling the truth, and then what do we do with that truth? We do the same old that we've always done with it, you know. We'll put it on our bookcase, maybe, I don't know where. But is it really transformative for our life?
Yeah.
And
so, well, listen, we'll now do the introduction before saying thank you so much. This has been very, very interesting. But it'll make a lot more sense when I explain the genesis of our discussion. You and I and my wife Florence, we met when we moved to Chiang Mai in late 2019, and unfortunately, we became friends with Eric Arnault, who was a practicing Buddhist for a number of years, and then we kind of had a group with Godfrey Roberts, and we would go to lunch and meet with each other, and it was very, very, very nice. And so unfortunately, we came back. We had to come back in July of last year because of a family emergency. We couldn't go back to Thailand because the borders were closed because of COVID.
I told you, don't go.
Well, we had to for the
just
family.
hire a lawyer or something. Okay, look, I'll just fill you in on one thing. I was following you because I was so interested in China, and I was following China Rising.
And you reached out to
me.
And
then at a certain time, you were saying, I've been here 8 years or a long time, I don't remember. But and then at a certain time you said, I'm going to move to Chiang Mai. I said, Chiang Mai? Oh my God. So I emailed you and said, well, when you come to Chiang Mai, I would like to meet you. And so then you came, and then you said, well, we're moving in and we're doing this. Next month we can meet. So then there we were at the Central Festival. Not Central Festival. We're at the airport mall, and, looking at the fish, right?
There you go. So anyway, as I was reading the Marcus Aurelius's Meditations that you so kindly mailed to me in hard copy, I was sitting there thinking, Eric Arnault, he really knows Buddhism. He was a practicing Buddhist. He wrote a whole book about his voyage through China and visiting all the temples. And me being one of these guys who likes to, I'm a real together guy. So I proposed to the two of you. I said, let's have you, Eric, on and you on, and let's talk about Buddhism and Stoicism. But then, Eric very, very wisely said, nah, and you agreed. And I think it was probably the best thing. This is not a competition, between Stoicism and Buddhism, and this is they both have helped billions of people over the years, the millennia, so we agreed to do separate ones, and next week I'm looking forward to having Eric Arnault on, and he wanted to do one which I thought was kind of interesting, was to are communism and Buddhism compatible? So that'll be up after this one. So anyway, Richard, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you for sending me the book. I think what I will do now is I will print up just like an A4 list of 20 of Marcus Aurelius's aphorisms that really means something to me.
That's good. You can say what your favorites are,
and then plastic it and just keep it. And I probably will do the same thing after my discussion with Eric. I'll probably do the same thing with Marx, Lenin, and Mao. And
who are you going to have on about communism?
No, I'm going to have Eric on next week.
Yeah, and you'll talk about communism.
Comparing the compatibility. Are communism and Buddhism compatible? So, which is something which should be a lot of fun. It's really an interesting concept. So, and again, no competition. Stoicism has helped billions of people over the millennia. Buddhism has helped billions of people over the millennia, and communism has helped billions of people since 1848. So
I hope I made myself clear, because I'm not really somebody that goes around and gives presentations about Stoicism. Like, I only know it for a couple of months, but
no, you did a great job.
I emphasized those things that I thought were really important, and really all of it's important, but maybe I didn't de-emphasize the ones you can look at it for yourself. It's not so important what I think, and
the book will be posted. Thank you for your generosity, your willingness to share Marcus Aurelius's meditations, and I'll put your video that you did a couple of weeks ago and put that up there too, along with this one. And thank you very much. And hopefully one of these days I'll get back to Chiang Mai so that we can have a meal again together with Eric and Godfrey.
Yeah, old times.
And John Clayton next door where we used to live and had to give up the house.
Who knows if the time doesn't ever marches backwards, it seems to only march forwards. Yeah, I really enjoyed being on, and I got a lot out of it because it got me really thinking about, making a video and speaking about it. And I didn't really write a PowerPoint or get my priorities all in line. But in the meantime, as usual, you were a good stimulus for personal growth.
Well,
so
you too. Thank you so much. I'll let you know when this is up, and you can blast it all over the world.
Oh, for sure.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.
China Rising Radio Sinoland and China Tech News Flash signing out. Please make a contribution to all of my hard work. Thank you.